Okay, excuse me. Rather than banging around with a bunch of extra boxes and stuff like yesterday, for those of you who don't know, okay, if I'm going to compare, I have the Tony Llama boots and the Thursday Maverick boots. This is in the darker brown, not the brandy ones that I showed you before. So you'll know which boot is which when I reach over here. This one has the contrast stitching, and this one is just more subdued. And again, the fit, kind of similar. Both of them were a bit too narrow, so I went up half a size with the Thursday, and these are old, so I'm just stuck with them for now. So yesterday, since hardly anybody watched it yet, I unboxed the Dan Post boots, and they also ran a bit small. I didn't bother to stick my foot all the way in it because I didn't think I would ever get it back out, same as this. And I didn't bring them in here for a head-to-head comparison with the Justin because they're not exactly the same style of boot, even though they're pretty close and they're in the same price range, yada, yada, yada. Whereas these are, well, they were in a lower price range when I got them, but they're more or less the same kind of thing. But also found out recently that this company is owned by Justin, so why they compete with themselves, I have no idea. And I talked about that a little bit more in the overview video that I did last week. Now, that was not a comprehensive video. It wasn't meant to be a comprehensive video. There's no way I can own every single brand of boot in, circulation, new and used. And of course, some of the models that I talked about, I don't have anymore because they didn't fit. I sent them back. They cost too much, whatever it was, blah, blah, blah. And of course, I didn't talk about harness boots and some other things because the video feed was cutting out on me prematurely, so I had to kind of cut it short. So I had mentioned Justin, Dan Post, Cody James, which I don't know if they're a Boot Barn specific brand or if they're just very featured prominently there. Lucchese, Durango, neither of which have I tried. But in the recent Rose video, he had said that pretty much everybody already has Justin boots and or Dan Post boots, and I had never owned either of them, so that's partly why I thought I would check them out. As I said, but I say it here because this is, even more specific than that. Not going to go all into this. This is some notes for maybe another upcoming video where I'll get a little more into detail in it, but it's stuff that I've touched on before. And, Western wear being kind of sitting in between basically light work wear and then casual wear, and then sometimes you'll have more formal, fancy kind of wear. So some boots fit very well into that workwear category. Some boots fit more into that casual to dressy category, and then some boots are so ridiculously expensive that why would you ever work in them? So obviously a leather like this is not particularly dressy looking, but it does have the leather sole so you can dance in them, which again, the Ariat boots and the Dan Post boots, not really, well, not all the Ariat boots, but the ones that I showed, not good for dancing, whereas the Thursday boots, again, leather, fine for dancing. So when I selected the Justin boots, I did select leather outsoles. And it was actually the Dan Post ones that threw me for a loop because I didn't realize that they were going to be different outsoles until the last minute. And then I ordered them anyway just to see how they fit. Okay. I know it's kind of a long preamble before we get to box number one. But okay, so box number 1. No, this is, we want to do this one second. So I put the wrong box in the wrong place. Well, anyway, this one's kind of beat up. Somebody had already, I think, tried on that boot before it came to me and loosened it up for me. So in all full disclosure, this is a fake unboxing because I tried all these on yesterday already because I just didn't make a second video because I didn't want to be in the room doing videos all day, you know, yada, yada. So this first boot, as you will see, little J on the thing, very a lot much like the Tony Lama boot, even though but obviously the stitching design is a bit different. This one is the size. Okay, this is the larger size. I ordered this in 2 sizes, and I thought I was going to be returning this larger one, and that smaller one was like smaller than this one, I think. I don't know if the sizing is exactly the same as the Tony Lama, but this is half a size bigger than this one, and you can see that it's not that much bigger. And is it even bigger? I don't know. This camera's backwards, so it makes everything a chore. Actually, when I'm looking at them, the Tony Lama one looks like it's a little bit shorter in the toe, but narrower, which of course stands to reason because it should be narrower because it's a smaller size. This one, on the other hand, the Justin, is also very narrow. And so if we compare it to the Thursday boot, which again, I had to go up half a size, Justin, Thursday. This is kind of awkward, but they're the same foot this time. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. You can see the Thursday is a bit wider, and I still have trouble getting my foot out of it after I've worn it for a while. I can get the left one off, but not the right one so far without assistance. So I didn't get my foot in this. I didn't even try. It didn't happen. Yeah, that's way too narrow. Not gonna work. So I'm doing a review of a boot that I'm also returning along with its counterpart. Looks like it's a little bit scuffed here. Somebody else must have tried it on or something, because I didn't get it anywhere near all the way on my foot. So it's got kind of these boring pull tabs. It is a nice tall shaft. I think most people would probably prefer like a 12 or an 11, but yeah, this was what was in the price range, so it's kind of what I ordered. I wasn't even really looking at all of those measurements and things. But again, that shouldn't really affect me getting my foot in or out of there because it's just way too skinny. Same reason I sent back the Tacovas. Same reason I sent back the Chizos. Same reason I want to sell these eventually or get them rebuilt or something. So let me go ahead and do an orderly thing. Anyway, so there's no like real hidden surprises in the box like there was in the Dan Post box. There was a little bit of a marketing stuff. Just some paper and another bit with a tag. Okay, so nope. This and this, like I said, I'm going to be fumbling around with boxes all day. That's not going to cooperate. And so it's doing okay. Fine, done. Okay, so the sticker says whole bunch of stuff. All right, I didn't read any of this yesterday. For more than 145 years, we've built boots for just about everyone, unless you have really wide feet, I guess. From cowboys and roughnecks to A-list celebrities and presidents. Built to last quality, all-day comfort, intentional Western style, one would hope. Step out in style and comfort while making a difference with Justin boots. The perfect choice for the modern cowboy and cowgirl, I guess. Intentional meaning stitching that shows up in toe bugs instead of, I don't know, plain roper boots or whatever like Ariat is doing. They probably do that too in this lower price point than these. I just didn't notice. Oh, I didn't mention the spur shelf on the Dan post. I didn't even look at it yesterday. Sorry about that. This one seems to have a bit more pronounced one than some of your other models, although your Tony Llama's pretty similar. Again, made by, oh, no, wait, that was the Justin, sorry. The Tony Llama. Different color heel. Pretty similar, though, like I said. And the Thursday, actually a lot more pronounced for what it is. So that, noticing that your purchase matters. These boots support injured rodeo athletes and their families. Between the Justin Sports Medicine Team and the Justin Cowboy Crisis Fund, we are committed to providing financial and medical assistance to athletes at no cost. Scan this code to learn more. Okay, well, that's too bad because I'm returning these. Maybe I'll get a bigger size. I don't know. We'll see. Because I don't know if they have a wider width and if it'll be wider enough, and I don't know if 8 will be way too long when I don't probably need it any longer to get a little bit of extra width, or they might even still be too skinny, like the Tacovas, where I went up a size and they were still not going to fit ever in a billion years. Okay, so taking out the cardboard, put that there. Taking out the toe foam. And I don't think this insole is removable like the other one now. It has some kind of leather half sock liner and some other doohickeys, and you can see the seam down the side. And you can see it's lined with whatever kind of rumply leather that is. And see if I can read this. Made in Mexico. So basically everybody in Mexico makes boots that are for people with really, really, really narrow feet, I guess. Seems to be a national characteristic, I guess. So we have what's probably all, I don't know, plastic for all I know. But then a rubber cap with some nails and some, who knows what the heel stack is, and some welt stitching. You can see the little bit of the channel there and the name and the top stitching, and the back stay does not go up particularly tall like some models will go up a little bit taller depending. No real, just a stylistic choice, I think. A little bit of a wear spot there where somebody wedged their foot into it and then didn't buy them. Because like I said, I didn't do that. Couldn't get that far with these at all. Yeah, somebody creased the toe a little bit too. I don't think I did that anyway. Seems unlikely. So back to the first one. I know I only tried to try on one of them and it didn't go on my foot. So. Because I was like, that's not going to fit on my foot. Little common sense. I already squeezed into those Nick's Packer boots that I complain about every single video because they like to make really narrow footwear in the Pacific Northwest as well. So there you got a little bit more of the exact same thing. You can see maybe some of the crinkles in the whatever the liner leather is there. So it's a pretty nice design. Again, it's not that much different than the Tony Llama. It's a leather that is not that thick and sturdy, but they're pretty close. I mean, you can see how it's kind of collapsing already and nobody's even worn the thing. Although it looks like it's been tried on a few times. And not by me. But yeah, so it's a little bit smushy. Not especially terrible. Pretty close to, again, looking like a work leather without necessarily being a true work leather. So kind of in between that casual and rodeo use kind of, or regular riding use, but again, dance floor friendly. Be careful on tile, right? But yeah, that's narrow. I mean, how does that look next to a Birkenstock? I got the wrong Birkenstock. Not too much, but try and stick your foot in it. I don't know. Good luck. So yeah, that was that pair. I don't know what else to necessarily say about it. I mean, like I said, they look fine overall. I might try and get the bigger size, and hopefully the 8s are not too long. But I'm thinking if there's a wide, it might be fine. If it's wide enough, don't know. I gotta figure out which was which. This was the one I threw across the floor. Housekeeping. Yeah. So the other one, like I said, I got two of the same thing in the different size. So there's no sense in showing the smaller ones, except that they're smaller. They're about the same width. They're just not as long. But that size, unlike this size, is my actual Brannock size. So that was live and learn that they don't run true to Brannock. They run smaller. So this one, other color, that one was the Buck Bay Apache cowhide. Okay, so I better write that down before I forget. Oh, and as I showed yesterday, I almost ordered these Laredo ones, but I didn't know if they'd be all leather or what. But they're $100 less in this catalog, so that was appealing. So this one is the CHESTNUT cowhide, also in a 13-inch, also a J12 medium round toe. That one says, yeah, J12. So I don't know if there's another round toe that is more pointy. I mean, I always thought this was reasonably pointy, but I do have that Laredo pair that is even pointier than this, and I can still squeeze into them, but they've never been very comfortable because they're not the style that I really want. Whereas these are a little bit less pointy, a little more round. So yeah, I didn't really compare the toes of the Thursday to the Justin. The Justin being the one that has the white stitching. And the obviously more pronounced other stitching. But this is also bigger, even though they're both 7.5. So there's that. So the Thursday doesn't run true to size, but they still run more true to size than Justin so far. These, on the other hand, I'm surprised they're calling this cowhide, because I am positive these are. Well, spoiler alert. I don't know. They seem not the same leather exactly. I'll show you in a minute. This time there was 2 bits of paper and whatever. So if this is supposed to be the same boot as that, and this is a 7. So instead of, like I said, instead of bringing in that other boot, you can just see the 2. So this is the one I was showing, and this is the one I'm showing now. Okay, but if you put them side to side, you can see the one is longer but skinnier. Okay, so I don't know if that's a quality control issue or if they just vary model to model. But again, this one, same height of the shaft, same heel, slightly different color bottom, but basically the same bottom. Different stitching. But the thing I didn't show these is it's a stiff, good shaft. Again, more the work end of things than the dressy end of things, which I had been complaining about because most of the shafts that I had acquired since these were not the same. They were all more squishy, including the Thursday boots, which these haven't been worn yet. The other ones have a bit more wrinkling to them already after only 2 wears, or maybe 3. But so yes, these do have a nice, firm, decent thickness seeming shaft, but again, not necessarily snake proof if you're doing the rose test. Okay, so, but down here in the vamp, I'll show you in a second. Okay, this again, card. Let's do everything in order. It's going to be a long video, but it's 2 pairs of boots. Okay, so I assume it's all the same exact stuff in the card. We're not going to read the whole card. So it's going to be the same exact stuff. Okay, so moving this stuff and looking down, we see the sock liner. Again, not a removable. We got this. Oh, I didn't really mention that heel counter. Is that the same? That black tall. Yeah. So the basic instruction is overall the same. So why the fit is different, I don't know. But you see that tall bit of black felt. That's your, I don't know if that's for easy on off or what. Again, same boring tabs here. Prettier stitching, maybe, depending on if you like this color more or that color more. Again, this one more of a shiny boot, heading a little bit more into the dress category than the work category. But now I was convinced this is pig leather. You're telling me this is cowhide? There's like, now whoever wore these before I did, maybe loosen them up, because I was able to get my foot on and out, or in and out of the left one, but the right one I needed assistance. Even though they're a size 7, I saw that was wider, and with this amount of squish, I imagine I could wear this one comfortably, but I might still try and get a wider size anyway if I keep this one. But I don't know. It's like too. It's prettier, but it just seems flimsy and total crap to me. It seems like pig leather. I'm not joking. Like, what is that? Just because the name is different. This one being the chestnut, I guess. And this was the one I was, I think, more excited about the overall look, because I didn't necessarily want another pair that were this dull. But again, I might end up with a pair of Tony Lama ones instead if they have something in the price range that I like better than the Justin ones, since apparently they're the exact same thing. If I can find the Tony Lama ones, I don't know. So yeah, that's one thing I don't like about again, the back doesn't come up super high. It kind of ends there. The stitching's a little bit different, a little bit more extravagant. Almost the exact, not quite the exact same pattern as that, but a similar idea. So somebody got paid to, play with their computer mouse for a while. How can I make this more? Okay, sure. We'll add more rows of stitching and charge the same amount as the other one for some reason. Because again, this doesn't have all that much ornate stitching, but it's got enough. And it costs the same amount as this one, but overall, I think this one is the superior leather somehow. It doesn't feel exactly the same. It doesn't squish like crazy. Of course, I got the paper back in it. But the fit is terrible. Again, this one fit better. So, can't win for losing. in for trying, whatever the phrase is. Let me go ahead and re-stuff that. Now, I did try on both of these, like I said, and I was able to get my foot back out of the one. But I don't know that I would want to walk around in them and get my feet swollen. And yeah, I still think they're probably a smidge too small to wear all day or all night. Like I said, I might try and see how the wide width fits, or even go up half a size. But I just am not enthusiastic about this vamp leather. So I don't know that I would buy this exact model again. Yeah, see, again, this is, I had no trouble getting this boot back off because there's nothing to it. This one feels even thinner and worse than the other one. And like I said, cowhide, this doesn't, you're using like this much out of this much cowhide or something available to get that much squish. And the shafts are not as firm and rigid either. So that's me manhandling a pair of boots that I'm returning tomorrow or the next day on camera, and I don't care because this is not $250 product as far as I'm concerned. It's close, but not quite. The fit is not quite perfect, and the quality just doesn't seem to be there for that price. Like I said, I might try the other size just to try them, but I don't think I would bother keeping those when I already got these for the same price, and they more or less fit and they're more or less functional. They're just not as pretty. So yeah, Thursday still winning overall in my recent boots column for Western boots. Hate to say it, but they're not perfect, and you know, all that, but for the price, like I said, I mean, this is pretty close to what I want. I'm not saying, but that again is all looks. This is a little bit better, but the fit is worse. So I don't know if I can find a fit in this that I can live with or not. And if I can, then maybe I'll keep them. I don't know. Like I said, I got to go to Boot Barn and spend the time instead of trying to do it online. And I hate doing stuff like that. I like to just be able to click and get the size that, I don't know, fits the actual size that it says. Because then when I do my Brannick and it says this size, I expect this boot to fit like my Brannick. And so far, almost none of them do, including the Thursday boot. So, like I said. But that was a quick, pretty easy exchange at least. And a lot less models to choose from. It was this one or that, you know, I could get the black ones and be done, I guess, but I don't really need a pair of black ones. Boots video is not quite as long as I thought it might ramble, but yeah, 2 unboxings, 30 minutes. That's So as always, I think I pretty much said it all. If you have any questions or comment or any questions, put them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as best as I can. And it's like I said, I mean, this is not, you know, I'm not, like I said, but this, I got this how many years ago and for way less money and before I knew what I was looking for, you know. And I didn't get these to be rough and tough. In fact, they were more rough and tough than I really wanted to be because, again, I was using these for dance floor purposes. But the fact that they look like work boots is mostly deceptive, but they're still more sturdy than a lot of the other boots that I've, again, they're not that much different, but I was using these as my hallmark or gold standard or whatever because, again, out of all the boots I collected back then compared to the ones that I've got now, like CHESTNUT and whatnot, that cost way more, I'm still more impressed with this Tony Lama boot, even though it's not that great, but it's a 200-ish price point boot, which is better than a $350 boot that's not any better, or a $650 boot that's not any better. So that was the point there. And so again, why I ended up with Thursday boot, because I couldn't find any Tony Lamas in my size, or 8 might be my size, we'll see, or with a round toe instead of a flat square toe. And so that's why these won, because these have, oops, also a round toe. So that was the criteria to find a round toe. And again, I like a little bit more pointy toe if I can get it, because it's a little sharper looking, but do I want to sacrifice this and that? I mean, you can see there's, you know, kind of cool, intricate little marbling and all this kind of, but it's all show. Like I said about the cheap guitars, the Squire guitars and things, what they lack in quality, they make up in dazzle, you know, they wow you. So yeah, this looks really cool, but if you were actually using it for actual cowboy stuff, I don't think this is going to serve your needs as well as something you could probably find for less money. So that's it. That's my assessment. You know, I kind of offhandedly said Dan Post gets an F for fit. These get like a D. I mean, you know, they're, like I said, it was a little bit more closer than on accident than yeah, but then the one that should fit doesn't fit at all. So that's usually an F, right? Okay, well, that's my Sunday rant for the day, so we'll see how it goes.